My name is Obalesh, and welcome to Bread of Knowledge. Today we're diving into an idiom that everyone could benefit from mastering, especially if you have a knack for storytelling that rivals the length of war and peace. Yes, folks, we're talking about cut to the chase, an idiom that's all about getting straight to the point without all the fluffy filler. Before we dive in, I've got 10 questions for you to ponder while we explore this topic. Stick around until the end for the answers, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Bread of Knowledge. Hitting that like button isn't just a way to boost my self-esteem, it's a signal to the algorithm overlords to spread this comedy-infused knowledge far and wide. Where does the idiom cut to the chase originate from? What does cut to the chase mean in a business context? How can cut to the chase improve your personal relationships? Why do some people struggle with cutting to the chase? Can cutting to the chase ever be a bad thing? How can you practice cutting to the chase in everyday conversations? What are some scenarios where cutting to the chase is essential? How does cutting to the chase relate to time management? What are the benefits of cutting to the chase in public speaking? How can you politely tell someone to cut to the chase? All right, let's get to it. And yes, I'm aware of the irony in that statement. The glorious origin of cut to the chase. Let's start with a little history, because, hey, who doesn't love a good origin story? The idiom cut to the chase comes from the glamorous world of early Hollywood films. Back in the silent film era, movies often ended with thrilling chase scenes. Screenwriters would sometimes pad the script with unnecessary dialogue and scenes that made audiences fidget in their seats. Studio executives, being the models of patience and brevity they are, would often command directors to cut to the chase to keep the action moving and the audiences awake. Imagine sitting through a silent film where the protagonist spends 20 minutes contemplating a flower while you're eagerly waiting for the car chase. By the time the action starts, half the audience has dozed off, and the other half is contemplating a refund. Hence, cut to the chase was born. A directive to skip the boring bits and get straight to the good stuff. Business, where cutting to the chase saves lives and time. Now let's bring this into the real world. In the cutthroat, pun intended, world of business, cutting to the chase can be a lifesaver. Picture this. You're in a meeting that could have been an email. Your colleague, Bob, has spent the last 20 minutes discussing his cat's dietary habits when you're supposed to be brainstorming for a project. As Bob waxes poetic about the merits of grain-free kibble, you're secretly planning your escape route. Cutting to the chase in this context means steering the conversation back to the point. It's about saying, "Hey Bob, that's fascinating, but let's focus on the project ideas." It's not just about saving time, it's about respecting everyone's time. The faster you get to the point, the quicker you can all get back to your lives. And maybe Bob can continue his kibble monologue at the water cooler instead. Personal relationships. The art of not driving your friends and family insane. Let's not kid ourselves. We've all had that friend or family member who tells stories with more detours than a broken GPS. Maybe it's Aunt Marge, who insists on recounting every detail of her grocery shopping trip before finally revealing that she ran into your old math teacher. Or perhaps it's your buddy Steve, who starts with, "So I was born at a very young age," when you asked how his weekend was. Cutting to the chase in personal relationships means sparing your loved ones the agony of sitting through endless tangents. Instead of starting with the history of supermarkets, Aunt Marge could simply say, "I saw your math teacher at the store today." Boom, done. Everyone's happy, and no one's secretly planning to spike the punch at the next family gathering. Why some people struggle with cutting to the chase. You might wonder, why is it so hard for some people to cut to the chase? Well, for some, it's a love for detail and storytelling. For others, it's the fear of being too blunt or missing important context. And then there are those who just love the sound of their own voice. We're looking at you, Bob. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be detailed, but knowing when to cut to the chase can be a game changer. It's about striking a balance, giving enough context to make sense, but not so much that people are checking their watches. When cutting to the chase goes wrong, yes, there are times when cutting to the chase can backfire. Picture this. You're on a date, and your partner asks about your hobbies. Instead of giving a thoughtful response, you blurt out, "I like reading." Awkward silence ensues. In this case, a bit more detail would have helped. Maybe, "I love reading mystery novels, especially Agatha Christie." Cutting to the chase doesn't mean being curt or overly blunt. It's about being concise and relevant, not robotic. So, while brevity is the soul of wit, a little charm and detail can go a long way. Practicing the art of cutting to the chase. So how do you get better at cutting to the chase? Start by identifying the main point you want to communicate. Ask yourself, what's the most important thing I need to convey? Then lead with that. If someone wants more details, they'll ask. In conversations, try to stay on topic. If you catch yourself going off on a tangent, gently steer back. Practice summarizing your thoughts in a sentence or two before diving into the full story. Scenarios where cutting to the chase is essential. There are certain situations where cutting to the chase isn't just helpful, it's crucial. Think emergency situations, job interviews, or when you're giving instructions. In these cases, clarity and brevity can make all the difference. For instance, if you're giving someone directions during an emergency, take the first left, then the second right is far more useful than a detailed description of every landmark along the way. Time management, the unsung hero of cutting to the chase. Cutting to the chase is a fantastic time management tool. It allows you to focus on what's important and get things done faster. In meetings, it can lead to more efficient decision-making. In emails, it can save both the sender and the recipient precious time. By getting to the point quickly, you free up time for other tasks and reduce the mental clutter that comes with processing too much information. It's like decluttering your mind. Marie Kondo would be proud. Public speaking, keeping your audience awake and engaged. In public speaking, cutting to the chase is your best friend. Audiences have limited attention spans, and nothing makes eyes glaze over faster than a long-winded speech. Start with your main point and use supporting details sparingly. Remember, your goal is to inform and engage, not to lull your audience into a coma. Think of the best TED Talks you've seen. The speakers get straight to the point, use compelling anecdotes, and wrap it up before you've had a chance to check your phone. Be that kind of speaker, politely telling someone to cut to the chase. Finally, how do you politely tell someone to cut to the chase? It's all about tact. You could say, "I'm really interested in your point. Could you summarize it for me?" Or, "We're short on time. Could you give me the main highlights?" These phrases convey your need for brevity without being rude. Call to action. And there you have it. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, or even mildly amusing, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Bread of Knowledge. Your support helps keep this channel alive and thriving. Plus, hitting the like button sends good vibes to the YouTube algorithm, ensuring more people get to enjoy our content. Now, for the answers to those burning questions. The idiom "cut to the chase" originates from the silent film era of Hollywood. In a business context, cut to the chase means getting to the main point quickly without unnecessary details. Cutting to the chase can improve personal relationships by making conversations more direct and less frustrating. Some people struggle with cutting to the chase due to a love for detail, fear of bluntness, or enjoying the sound of their own voice. Cutting to the chase can be bad if it leads to missing important details or comes across as too blunt. Practice cutting to the chase by identifying the main point you want to communicate and leading with that. Scenarios where cutting to the chase is essential include emergency situations, job interviews, and giving instructions. Cutting to the chase relates to time management by allowing for more efficient decision-making and reducing mental clutter. In public speaking, cutting to the chase keeps the audience engaged and prevents boredom. Politely telling someone to cut to the chase can be done by asking for a summary or main highlights. Thanks for watching, and remember, life's too short for unnecessary tangents. Cut to the chase and enjoy the ride.